The one and only Manchester United. Champion Ole. Super Ole.
Behave yourself.
How are you guys doing?
Fantastic.
You're great?
Yeah.
Pop quiz.
Yeah.
You know, I was playing a Kodrentry song. Do you know when it was released?
Oh, this one.
That's too early. Too early.
What's the prize that comes with the right answer? Maybe that motivates me.
It came out in 1990.
Yeah, 1990. Yes, 1990. Yes,
All right, guys. What's in the newspapers?
Well, front page of the Daily Graphic, Nathan. Tourism revenue. Government targets $5 billion in 2 years. Dr. Awal reveals at vetting, and that's Dr. Mohammed Ibrahim Awal, Minister Designate for Tourism, Arts and Culture. On the front page also, I shall sin no more. Dr. Ayine assures Supreme Court.
There are stories from the Supreme Court, from the vetting, but the story I'll start with today is on the front page of the Finder. BOG launches regulatory and innovation sandbox pilot. And this has gotten a lot of people excited, those in the technology space. COVID-19 vaccine not mark of the beast, SDA Church. RTI Commission calls for proposals on legislative instruments. Now we'll move on to the vetting before we go to the Supreme Court. We can earn $5 billion annual revenue to make tourism number one contributor to GDP. This is Dr. Mohammed Awal. Government undertakes feasibility studies on integrated light rail system. This is John Peter Amewu at the vetting. Now to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court discharges Ayine, and the final story on the front page of the Finder. Sanctioned diplomatic missions pushing LGBTQI agenda in Ghana.
Front page of the Daily Guide newspaper. President takes first COVID-19 jab Tuesday. Mahama petition strange. Dismiss it. This is coming from the EC. Involve chiefs in land resource use. This is coming from the Ochehene. Housing Authority proposed to reduce deficit.
Now the front page of the Ghanaian Times. Tourism to bag $5 billion in 2 years. Dr. Awal assures of targets. This was at the Appointments Committee of Parliament. Supreme Court discharges Dr. Ayine of contempt charge. Convict 32 to spend 63 years behind bars. And $84 million Pokuase interchange nears completion. Project to be ready in April.
Front page of the Daily Statesman newspaper. Ghana to get $20 million film and music studio.
Yay!
Yeah.
I actually disagree, but we'll see about that.
Oh, why?
Go and sin no more. Supreme Court forgives Dr. Ayine. Involve chiefs in legislative decisions. Ochehene advocates.
Now, the Chronicle. Constituents laud DCE for its achievements. I'll tell you which DCE they are talking about. But the big story for the Chronicle. PDS deal fraudulent. Amewu insists. And while on LGBTIQ, we will enforce and respect our cultural values. Now, Cocoa Board's boss is speaking. Ivorian paramilitary forces harass Ghanaian cocoa farmers. And this story bears the picture of Joseph Boahin, the CEO of Cocoa Board.
Front page of the Herald newspaper says Alan Shematin to be grilled on Unipass deal. Cash for seats and others today. Omanebo Ama's government to go for Pfizer vaccines for COVID-19, but that's according to the paper. CID investigator on Opuni case admits coaching witnesses on what to write to nail him.
Now the new Weekend Crusading Guide, a story that will interest the two of you. Varsity for sports development in the offing. Minister nominee assures.
Okay.
Yes.
Another one.
NLA DG, deputy on collision course as lobbying intensifies, but LMC say both must go. This is the lobbying for the Director General of NLA.
NLA, okay.
And Amansia West electorate push for Samuel Asari Brew to be made DCE. And the Osu Ashanti Charlie, this is gone. Jase, right? Jase. Also like Jase Hine.
Yes.
Okay, so
Jase.
Osu Asante Jase, rise to the new Crusading Guide.
Front page of the BNFT, the tourism story said Dr. Awal outlines strategies to boost tourism and creative arts industry. 50 million Ghana cedis capital injection to benefit creative arts. $20 million National Film Studio push for domestic tourism drive. Another good story on the front page of the paper. Look to swaps to reduce housing deficit. This is coming from Kweku Adoboli. Says poor mortgage financing is structural. And Cybersecurity Authority to begin operations in Q2.
Now, the Ghanaian Observer. You should trust COVID-19 vaccines, FDA boss tells Ghanaians. Akufo-Addo to get first COVID-19 vaccination. How Lands and Natural Resources Minister designate plans to sanitize small-scale mining sector. It's also there. And Supreme Court forgives Sorry Ayine over contempt charge. Now, the final story says is on the minority leader. And he says that we should look at the LGBTQI issues because he says he's never seen a male goat running after another male goat.
If you go online, citynewsroom.com says EC Akufo-Addo also filed closing addresses in election petition case. Flights disrupted as KIA workers strike in protest against MD, and we'll follow up on that. It's something that's causing a lot of disruptions at the airport. We have a reporter that will try and get to that reporter in a bit. COPEC is lamenting fuel prices have gone up 4 times in 2 months. And from the vetting, I'll be Minister for all sports, not just football, Mustafa Yusuf. An Australia visa scandal report should be made public. Sports Minister designate. If you go to citybusinessnews.com, it says support for indigenous companies needed to create more jobs. That's Matthew Opoku Prempeh there. Guta laments Benin's withdrawal from ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme. An IES study is saying gas subsector becoming a fiscal burden to the country, and Ghana City expected to be stable for the rest of 2021. My journal line says NDC MPs threaten to vote against transport, gender, info and health ministers designate over Frontier's contract. Interesting. Union directs all general staff of KIA to withdraw services. Of course, that's also the KIA strike there. Ghana will host the best ever African Games in 2023, Sports Minister designates. And the EC lawyers filed their closing address, and they say it is unfortunate that Mahama dragged us to court over an innocuous mistake. So that's also what is there from the Supreme Court. StarFM.com.gh says KIA workers, withdraw services, demand MD's removal. Court nullifies Western Regional House of Chief elections. Haruna Idrisu says homosexuality is immoral, dehumanizing, and sad news as popular Ghanaian photographer Bob Pixel passes away. If you go to the East African, it says EAC pushes to align EADB with blocks structure. Mozambique gets first batch of COVID-19 vaccines. Spotify launches in East Africa. And a US paper is saying Museveni inner circle secretly given COVID jabs. Interesting. If you get to Nigeria, channels, they say we'll deal with banditry and insurgency. That's coming from the Nigerian president, Buhari. And they have other stories on their main page as well. 4 die in Sweden after falling through Ice Lake. And no support from FG on rescue of Kagara students. Governor Bello laments. If you go to the BBC's homepage, it says Biden raises human rights in call with Saudi king. Ex-Olympic coach found dead after sex charges. Airbnb predicts significant travel rebound. And on the entertainment front, it says Lady Gaga's dog walker shot and bulldogs stolen. So that is what is trending there. Lady Gaga is in the news, and she's put out a heavy reward for those who help her crack the mystery of her bulldogs that have gone missing. Anyway,
not for the murder of the dog walker, but for the return of the dogs.
Yeah, I think that she's concerned about the 2 things, but yes. Yeah.
Okay, right. Front page.
We'll get into the Lady Gaga story.
Front page of the Daily Graphic. Let me begin with the vetting of the tourism minister and also the sports minister. Says that the minister designate for tourism, arts and culture, Dr. Mohamed Ibrahim Awal, has outlined plans to increase revenue from the sector to $6 billion within the next 3 years. Currently, data from the Ghana Tourism Authority indicates that the sector contributed $1 billion to the economy last year, with global projections indicating that the figure could increase to $1.2 billion by the close of the year. The minister-designate, who made an ambitious $5 billion projection of inflow within his first 2 years in office when given the nod, insisted that it was very possible, considering the fact that the country raked in $3.3 billion in 2019 due to the Year of Return initiative. Now, he said his plan was to make the tourism sector the number one foreign exchange earner for the country in the next 4 years. Dr. Awal said the targets will be achieved by boosting both domestic and international tourism in the country. Now, on film, Dr. Awal also revealed plans by the ministry under his supervision to build a $20 million world-class music and film studio with the support of the private sector that he said would help position the country as a film production hub in West Africa. Quote, this is one element that can bring increased tourism into the country. We currently don't have any serious studio in this country. In Nigeria, the film industry 2 years ago generated $590 million. In Hollywood, the industry generated over $4.1 billion. Ghana can do it if we have a studio that produces movies. And then he spoke about promoting festivals, which is interesting.
Yes.
He also outlined his plans to promote Ghanaian festivals and make them more attractive to the international community. Also spoke about a $50 million support for the industry and said that it was one sector that had been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic and had promised to inject $50 million to support the industry. Also spoke about the Marine Drive project. Finally, it says it's a very important project and a game changer in Ghana. When I'm given the nod, I will look at the details. I'm a business development person, and I will ensure that the project is accelerated to create jobs for Ghanaians.
This ministry might end up being the game changer if he's able to do the things he wants to do. Because the culture and creative arts industry is one of the easiest to enter or to develop if you have the right strategies. So we
and
wish him
resources.
Well. Yeah. So we wish him well. Now, let's go to your favorite place, sports, since you are wearing your Man U jersey today. Varsity for Sports Development in the offing. This is the minister nominee assuring Ghanaians through the appointments committee. Now, the minister designate for sports, Mustafa Yusuf, yesterday disclosed that Ghana will soon establish a new university dedicated to sports development after hosting the 2023 All-African Games. The university, he intimated, would help to enhance sports development in the country and by extension West Africa. In addition, he said they are setting up a subcommittee to look at the infrastructure development, and they are going to put up, given the opportunity, an Olympic village, and the Olympic village will come with facilities which after the games will serve as a university for sports development.
And also on sports, he said that he's going to ensure equitable distribution of sports resources, but also said he's drawing inspiration from countries such as Jamaica and Kenya, who are winning Olympic medals in sprint and long distance races because they identified those areas as having the competitive advantage and channeled resources in developing athletes for such events. Also spoke about the poor maintenance culture and promised to put in place a maintenance manual in collaboration with the National Sports Authority to ensure periodic maintenance of sports facilities.
Well, if you go to citynewsroom.com, another angle from his vetting was the Commonwealth Games visa scandal. Now, he said that the investigative report into the scandal would be made or should be made public. Now, more than 60 people were deported for posing as journalists, and that happened in 2018, caused a lot of uproar. There was a lot of furore, and he says that he will look at it, he will look into it, and then the report will be made public because it's a matter of public interest. So those were his words. We wait to see how that will play out there. But if you stay on citynewsroom.com, the Electoral Commission and the president.
Nathan, let me give you one more from appointment committee, then maybe we can go to the court. Because Amewu spoke about the PDS deal, and it's the big story for the Chronicle today. Now, the story by Inus Amusa says John Peter Amewu, the former Minister for Energy, has maintained his stance on describing the Power Distribution Service Company's agreement with the ECG on behalf of the government as fraudulent. His strong position on the matter was premised on the lack of certain material evidence that he said, in the view of the government, were not provided by the PDS. Now, the Hohoe Member of Parliament's response was to a question on the subject matter posed to him by Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa. Nathan.
Let's get to the phone lines. You know, earlier I read a story about disruptions at the Kotoka International Airport because there was a strike there. Our reporter Netele Nete is there. So let's speak to her and let's find out what exactly is going on and find out more. Netele, if you can hear me, good morning.
Good morning, Nathan.
What exactly is happening at the airports? What else have you picked up apart from what we know already, that there's a strike that's ongoing?
Okay, I'm at Terminal 3, the departure hall, and I'm standing outside, and I have noticed that there's a long queue. There's a long queue at the screening point, and there's no screening going on because of the strike action by the GACL divisional union. And according to them, they are saying that because of the allegations that have been made of mismanagement and abuse of office against the managing director, they are sitting down and not working. And true to their work, they are not working. The flight to move this morning is Africa World Airlines to Lagos, and it's supposed to move in about 2 minutes, but because of the fact that they are not doing any screening, the flight is not going to move. That is what I've picked from the authorities here.
Now, what else are they saying? I mean, have you spoken to any of the workers? Do they have like a head, somebody supervising this sit down? You've mentioned the fact that they are doing it because of the MD. How long do they plan on not working? Because of course their actions or inactions are disrupting flights and all of that.
Yes, Mr. Issa Kabamba, he stated that it's unfortunate this is happening, but it has to happen for the authorities to do the right thing. So as long as the authorities don't do the right thing, they are going to sit down and not work. So by the end of the day, if they don't hear anything from the airport authorities or any authority in charge, they'll move it on to tomorrow and the next until the right thing is done.
Are any authorities, are any airport management officials that at least just to see to ensure that, the potential customers are, at least they know what is happening? Because if you are flying out and you've been left hanging, it must be quite frustrating.
Yes, for now, I went to the airport office. There's no authority. There's just the security men and then the divisional union members. They are the ones here at the moment. So I'm waiting to speak to any authority now.
All right, Natalie, thank you very much. We'll get back to you to see if we have any more updates there. But listeners, that's it. I mean, if this is very, very sad and frustrating and worrying, we'll try and keep an eye on that. So the background to this, like you would have heard, the airport workers aren't happy. They say they want the MD changed. They want him to step down. If not, they would go on strike, and they have actually gone on strike. And you can imagine the domino effect this will have on all other things related to flying in this country and internationally.
Anyway, we hope that this issue is resolved as soon as possible, because a lot of things will be affected.
Oh yeah,
a lot of things.
Domestic travel, international travel, business, all other things will get
Cargo
disrupted,
and everything may end up being affected. Anyway, let's go to COVID-19. Godfrey, you read a headline that said the president will be vaccinated
Daily
on
Guide,
Tuesday.
page 3, yes.
Now, on page 9 of the Ghanaian Observer, the FDA boss says that we should trust COVID-19 vaccines. Now, on page 9 of the Finder as well, the Dr. Nsiasare, the presidential advisor on health, is also telling us that we should disregard the misconceptions about the vaccines and that we should take them. Now, the Food and Drugs Authority has assured Ghanaians on the safety of the coronavirus vaccines that are to be administered to Ghana to fight the spread of the pandemic. And the authority is telling us that they've done their work and we should trust the vaccines and we should go out there to take the vaccines.
Now, if you go to the Herald, there's a story there that says that Dr. Omane Boama is asking Ghana to also chase the Pfizer
vaccine.
Yeah, the Pfizer vaccine. As you know, we're using the AstraZeneca and then the
Sputnik V. Yeah.
Now, health policy planning and financing analyst Dr. Edward Kofi Omane Boama has called on the government and the private sector to pursue the Pfizer vaccine. According to him, though both Pfizer and AstraZeneca vaccines are safe, the former is comparably more efficient than the latter. Quote, in terms of safety based on evidence, there's not much to choose between the Pfizer and the AstraZeneca vaccines, as both are considered safe. However, the AstraZeneca vaccine is not as efficacious as the Pfizer vaccine at 95%.
Let's go to the center spread of the Ghanaian Times. $84 million Pukasi interchange nears completion. Project to be ready by April. Now, the story says work on the $84 million Pukasi interchange at the ACP junction in the Ga North municipality is progressing, with all major works nearly completed. The resident engineer Kwabena Bimpong, who disclosed this in an interview with the Ghanaian Times yesterday, said 91.8% of the project had been completed. He said the bridges linking Accra to Kwabena, Aoshi, Kumasi and Pukasi had been completed and open to traffic. Currently, Mr. Bimpong, who is the resident engineer for Associated Consultants, the consulting company for the project, said work on the bridge connecting Kwabena to Kumasi was ongoing and would be completed by the first week in March this year. What I think should happen is that right after the interchange, we should be fixing the Pukasi Amasaman in Sawam Road. Because look, you can go past the interchange, but you still be in traffic because of the issues on that particular stretch.
Okay.
The bad nature of the road, the Amasaman market and station right next to the main road, all those are factors that cause a lot of traffic on the stretch. So if you fix the interchange, you should fix those roads as soon as possible so that the millions of Ghanaians, millions may be a stretch, the hundreds of thousands of Ghanaians on that stretch can have it easy when it comes to traffic.
Now let me do some business. And on page 3, it's quick quadribally. Page 3 of the BNFT. Look to swaps to reduce housing deficit.
Okay.
So according to the story by Beneza Chike Jane Joku, the nation's rising housing deficit will tumble as more households will be able to access mortgages at competitive rates if a mechanism existed where mortgage originating institutions, particularly banks, were able to swap their liabilities with pension funds who have far more patient capital to deploy. This according to former investment banker and now financial consultant Kweku Adoboli, in what was his highest profile public engagement since his return to Ghana in 2018. A swap is a derivative contract between two parties that involves the exchange of pre-agreed cash flows of two financial instruments. The cash flows are usually determined using the notional principal amount. Each stream of the cash flows is called a leg. And he was speaking at the 2021 edition of the Pension Strategy Conference organized by the Axis Pension Trust in collaboration with Chartered Financial Analyst Society in Ghana.
Now, Nathan, let me take you to the BOG story, which has a lot of people excited, those in the technology space. The Bank of Ghana has launched a regulatory and innovation sandbox pilot. Last week, they also released their policy on crowdfunding, and this also got a lot of people excited. Now, the Bank of Ghana has launched a regulatory and innovation sandbox pilot in collaboration with MTech Service Limited. Now, the launch is in line with its commitment to evolving and enabling an inclusive regulatory environment that promotes fintechs and supports innovation. A statement issued in Accra by Madam Sarah Thompson, Secretary of the Central Bank, said within the financial sector, a regulatory and innovation sandbox was a supportive and controlled policy environment that allowed firms to test innovative products, services, and business models under the supervision of a regulator. And the statement said the regulatory and innovation sandbox will provide a forum for financial sector innovators to interact with the sector regulator to test digital financial service innovations while evolving enabling regulatory environment.
Now, some very good news on page 17 of the Daily Graphic. Intercity STC launches new driver training facility.
Oh, okay.
So the Intercity STC Coaches Limited has commissioned 15 simulators at its driver training facility in Accra. The assistive equipment was acquired at the cost of $375,000. Now, according to Nana Kumia, the managing director, he said many road crashes in the country could be averted if drivers had quality training. And if you look at the photo, this is some really, really cool stuff here. I wish I could get behind it.
Enjoy the simulator. But this is great. I mean, drivers need, updated training and all of that. So this is wonderful from Intercity STC. Let's go to the BBC. Let me give you that Lady Gaga story. Lady Gaga. So, 2 of Lady Gaga's French bulldogs were stolen on Wednesday night after a gunman shot her dog walker in Hollywood, Los Angeles. A male suspect fired a semi-automatic handgun at the dog walker, named in U.S. media reports as Rand Fisher. Before making off with the dogs, the victim was transported to hospital in an unknown condition, LA police confirmed to the BBC. Lady Gaga has offered a reward for the return of her dogs, Koji and Gustav. Now she's said to be offering $500,000 to anyone who can return the dogs. So that's Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga is currently in Rome working on a new Ridley Scott movie titled Gucci.
Yeah, but I'm not surprised. I think it's become kind of a thing. This is not the first time where
Yes.
people are now targeting the pets of famous people.
Yes.
Because I've seen a couple of stories like boxers having their dogs taken, music stars having their dogs taken. It's like they just like
it's the new
pets.
thing.
Yeah,
it's the new thing because reports say
$500,000 for 2 pit bulls.
Yeah, there have been several cases in the US and all of that because they say the cost of the price tag of a puppy is between $2,000 and $10,000. Yeah, man.
Okay.
We need to take our dog breeding seriously.
I do.
All right, thank you, Godfrey. Thank you, Kojo. That was a newspaper review. At 7, we'll bring you the Citi Business News. Stay tuned.